Hello, welcome to my channel, where I read short horror stories. This story is titled Bruno. Timmy saw the vending machine from across the hallway, all the pink, blue, and yellow animals smiling at him from the other side of the crowded mall. He just watched the caretaker refill it, which meant there were a lot more to choose from. He tugged on his mom's sweater. "Can I have $1, please?" "What for?" she asked. Timmy pointed to the vending machine. "Okay," she smiled. She took the money out of her purse and placed it in his palm. He flipped it over, walked to the machine, looking back every now and then to make sure he could still see his mother. And when he reached the other side, he put the dollar into the slit and listened to it being slurped up by the machine. Then he used a tiny joystick to move the claw around inside. When he spotted a lush brown bear buried under a pile of tiny toy frogs, he pressed the shiny red button on the end of the stick and watched the claw creep down and clench the bear between it. When it rose, Timmy watched anxiously as the claw dangled the bear by its arm. His mom only gave him $1, so if the bear slipped out of its grasp, that would be it. Luckily, the claw made its way over to the corner and dropped the bear down into a hole. Excitedly, Timmy opened the latch and pulled the bear out of the machine. "What are you going to name him?" a voice asked from behind Timmy. Startled, Timmy jumped to see the caretaker from earlier. He was leaning against the machine, black stains on his beige overalls, and his bald head glistened under the mall's fluorescent lights. When Timmy turned to look at his mom, she was already making her way over to him. Timmy looked back at the caretaker and he asked again, "You gonna give him a name?" Bruno." "Bruno," he mused as Timmy's mom reached them. "That's a cool name." "What's going on here?" she asked, a cautious smile across her lips. "I was just asking the little man what he was going to name his new friend." "Oh, well, I think it's time to head home," she said. "Say goodbye, Timmy." "Bye." Timmy waved as his mom pulled him along. At dinner, Timmy set a spot for Bruno, laying a plate, knife, and fork in front of him. "Who's this?" his dad asked. "This is Bruno," Timmy smiled. "Welcome to the family, Bruno," his dad smiled back. Later that night, after Timmy was tucked into bed, he heard a noise. Sitting up from his bed, he grabbed Bruno and pulled him close. "Hello," he called out quietly. He didn't want his mom and dad to know that he was still awake. "Hello, Timmy," the voice said. "Who's there?" "It's me, Timmy, down here." Startled, Timmy peered down at Bruno, whose eyes seemed to blink back. "Bruno?" Timmy asked. "Yes, Timmy, it's me." "You can talk?" he asked excitedly. "Of course I can talk." Timmy, having never had a toy speak to him before, felt invincible. He was sure Bruno was the only toy in the world that can talk, and was almost positive that no other kid had a toy that could talk as well. "Timmy, you can't tell anyone that I can talk. I'm not ready to show others that I can yet. They might get scared and dump me back in that stuffy machine." Timmy nodded. "Yes, Bruno, I get it. Don't worry, I won't tell." "Good," Bruno said. In the morning, Timmy clutched Bruno close to him. He giggled at all the jokes Bruno told him, and whispered all of Timmy's secret snack stashes around the house. In the morning, Timmy clutched Bruno close to him. He giggled at all the jokes Bruno told him, and whispered to Bruno about all of his secret snack stashes around the house. "It's time to go, sweetie," his mom called. When she walked into his room, she stopped. "I'm sorry, sweetie, but you can't take Bruno to school with you. He might get hurt." Disappointed, Timmy put Bruno onto his bed and left for school. When he came back, he found Bruno on the floor. Fluff was spilling out of his arm. "I'll sew it up," his mom said. "It'll be good as new." But Timmy was still upset. Even after his mom gave Bruno back with stitches along his arm, Who could have hurt his new friend? Later that night, Bruno told him. It was the cat, he said. He doesn't like me too much. Mom says Whiskers isn't allowed on the bed, Timmy sulked. Maybe Whiskers needs to be punished. Slowly, Timmy stepped out of bed and went downstairs. Whiskers was sleeping soundly on the couch. Quietly, Timmy crept to the kitchen and took the water jug from the fridge. Then he walked over to Whiskers and dumped the entire jug onto him. Whiskers jumped and screeched and ran behind the couch. Bad Whiskers. Don't touch Bruno, Timmy said. Then he went back upstairs and cradled Bruno to his chest while he fell asleep. The next day, while whispering to Bruno about drawing Bruno a picture of his house from the outside, since he wasn't allowed to go outside of the house, his mother walked in and told Timmy it was time for school and that she would meet him downstairs. Timmy waited and waited until eventually his parents came down. Both of their cheeks were flustered, and his mother looked upset. What's wrong? Timmy asked. Both of their cheeks were flustered, and his mother looked upset. What's wrong? Timmy asked. Nothing, sweetie, let's go. After school, Timmy rushed upstairs to see Bruno. When he closed the door to his room, Bruno was scrambling for words. They don't like me, Timmy. They're gonna get rid of me. We need to get away before they do something and you never see me again. What do you mean, Bruno? What's wrong? Your parents, Timmy. I heard them talking about how they wanted to get rid of me. They don't like me. Oh, please don't let them get rid of me, Timmy. I won't let anything happen to you, Bruno, Timmy said. I know where we can go, said Bruno. Where? To my home at the mall. We'll leave tonight. And that was the plan. After Timmy's mom tucked them in, he waited until late in the night when he could hear their snoring from the other room. Then he took off with a knapsack filled with pajamas and his blanket and a sweater for Bruno and took off to the mall. But he didn't get far. He got to the end of the street before white cars with red, blue, and white flashing lights zoomed up to him on the corner. What are you doing out here all alone? The officer asked, but Timmy didn't respond. Let me hold on to that, he said, taking Bruno away. Do you live in that nice big house over there? The officer asked, pointing to Timmy's house. Timmy nodded and they drove him back home. The officer knocked on the door, and when Timmy's mom answered, she fell to her knees and held Timmy in her arms. She told him to wait inside while her and his dad spoke to the nice policeman. Hello, sir, ma'am. We've been tracking a known child abductor in the area. He's been putting stuffed animals bugged with microphones and cameras into toy vendors and watching children through a stream set up in his basement. Then he'd lure them away from their homes. You're lucky we got to Timmy on time. We caught the suspect just around the corner, right before we bumped into your child. When Timmy's mom stepped down to the porch and saw the caretaker from the mall in the back seat of the police cruiser, she keeled over and screamed.